My name's Hui, I'm an Immortal player, and I'll be showing you how to smoke properly on Ascent for both attack and defense. Number 1 on the list is attacking A. Right before you enter, you want to throw these two smokes flush with the wall, so anyone peeking out of them is exposed to like as many angles as possible. If you guys throw smokes with it not flush to the wall, enemies have an easier time swinging out and getting more kills. Bad smokes like this actually allow the enemy to slowly slice the pie and get easy frags on you when you're not expecting it. The heaven smoke like this, when it's flush to the wall, is really good because you know exactly where their head's going to be if they swing out, right? So pretend the smoke's wider, okay? They can swing from here, they can do a tight swing because the smoke is, it's curved, right? It's a circle, so lock in. Or they can swing close to the wall, right? So your crosshair placement will change depending on where they swing, which is really bad because I don't want you guys to be too linear and like static with the way you play smoke. So pretend you take like rafters without the use of a smoke. That's when you can smoke deeper, for example, to prevent them from like being able to push up. So your smokes don't always have to be here. If you smoke wrong, you can actually end up giving the enemy a lot more space. So pretend I smoke here instead of back here. They are able to take all of this space freely without being contested by you or your team. For post plant on A, you can just like throw the same default smokes, still flush with the wall if you don't have a goldfish memory, because I've already explained this. Once again, it maximizes the angles that defenders are exposed to when they peek out of it. Next on the agenda is attack on B. Attacking on B is probably a lot more simpler than A. So what you want to do when your team is taking this space is you once again want to smoke flush the wall here and here, right? So you smoke. If they swing out of the smoke, they're exposed to all these angles where your team could be. The reason why it's so important to place the smoke flush to the wall, because pretend I'm a defender swinging out. Look how many angles I'm exposed to. I'm not even going to count, that's a lot, right? Because if you smoke wide, if you don't smoke a flush to the wall, enemies can sneak out. And the amount of angles they're like exposed to is drastically reduced. Pretend you've taken B and you're in post plant. The default smokes you should probably throw is here and here, both flush with the wall. Because the defenders that push through have to deal with anybody like playing close on site, any rats, any angle holders. Placing these smokes adds so many possibilities about where you could be. Because as a like defender trying to retake, you could be like sitting here, you could be sitting here, here. There's an infinite amount of angles that like fuck. As I was saying, it just exponentially increases the amount of angles that the defenders are exposed to when they're pushing through these smokes. Is it forces them to use util when they're pushing out. When you're attacking mid, pretend you want to go mid-bottom. You want to smoke here, where the smoke completely covers this box, because if you leave a little gap here, defenders can of course swing through it. But when you throw it here, they're once again exposed to literally every single possible angle that you could be in. So why would a defender swing out that if they weren't trying to get like a timing swing? Where through later like game sense, through hours played, you can predict what they're going to do and when they're going to do that. Now for the smoke on mid bottom, you actually want to smoke out a bit further. Because if you smoke flush with the wall, right, it's good and all, but there's a little angle where defenders can stand on top of, on this little box here. And if you see, look at that. They're looking right at you. So when you smoke an angle, when you smoke a smoke that's further from the wall, it completely blocks this angle, allowing you and your team to safely take cat with probably just one person looking at the smoke. Now for defense on air. Contradictory to what I just said before, you want to smoke not flush to the wall. You want to smoke outwards, because for example, if a Sova if a Sova's droning over the smoke, you're able to play here and get like timings off it, right, and kill people. The second, but probably the best aspect of throwing the smoke is that as a defender, you're able to play like tucked close to the smoke, right? The attackers have so many more angles to clear because they have to worry about someone playing here, someone playing here. Like you can play close, you can play right in front of the smoke. No one expects that, right? Why, like, pretend if you were an attacker, why would someone just be standing right in front of you? It's a crazy good unpredictable move that you can throw in your ranked games to get some free kills. However, if you're on defense and you're playing the more aggressive side, you can throw it slightly more flush to the wall, just so it has this little outcrop here, right? So this like enables you to essentially swing into the attackers, get a kill and try to back off, because it gives you that cover rather than smoking perfectly aligned to the wall. A really good smoke that I actually came up with is smoking here.
Drop in a smoke.
I always use this smoke for retake because it allows me to slice each like section of the site up while blocking that double angle that people hold you by from Gen, okay? It also adds the hidden pressure of a defender potentially dropping into this smoke if you know that it's clear. And it poses an extra big, whopping threat to the attackers when you throw this. Traditional retake on A usually consists of like slicing the pie like normal, right? Which is fine and all, but when you get up to like this bit here, see how you're exposed to 2 angles at once and potentially 3? That's a big fat no. This smoke allows you to cut up these angles to make you and your team more protected in your fights. I suggest telling your teammates what to do when you throw the smoke, because a lot of mine and a lot of my friends in games, they always complain because they don't know how to play around the smoke. If you don't know how to side smoke as a defender, then you deserve a slap on the face now. Side smoke is so important because it allows you to chop up a lot of the site. If you didn't smoke here, if you tried to peek off this or just cross, well, there's 5 enemies looking directly at you, mate. That's not very smart. But when you smoke like this, you now have control of all of this space, right? You can swing here. You've essentially cut off a section of the site that the attackers have to push again or attack again. If you're an attacker facing the smoke, you have these angles to worry about still, right? But when you push up, like I said, you have the entirety of backside to clear, but you also have to worry about what's in this smoke. Like, as much as the attacker know, if they have one initiator, right? They drone into sight, they go, right? Your initiator probably does not have a second piece of util to like re-clear this smoke and re-clear backside. So this is where you're forced to actually engage in gunfights, where the defender has such a big advantage against you. I throw site smokes in about every single one of my games when I'm defending on like any bomb site. When defending on B, I also throw the same smoke that isn't flush with the wall. Because like I said before, if you were listening, yeah, wake up, buddy. You can play in all these like, different angles, right? The attackers have so many more angles to clear if you throw the smoke. You know, retaking from spawn, you could try to throw this smoke, for example, because it eliminates all view of backside, right? There's always a risk of someone playing in the smoke, but that's kind of just a risk you have to take. So it allows you to perfectly slice the side up without it being like exposed to multiple angles. And then your teammates can use util to clear it out, or just wait for the smoke, because the spike detonates in 40 seconds, right? Smokes last for 13 a round. Like I said earlier, you just have to be creative with the amount of smokes you throw. You can smoke here, for example. It allows you to focus on this angle boathouse. It allows you to slice it, right? Any smoke can be good if you and your teammates play well around it. Side smokes on B aren't really like textbook based. You can come up with them on the fly. Like I just came up with this one because it's not that good, but it has the same purpose, right? You can take all this space and you can just hold it, and the attackers have to worry about what's in the smoke, what's behind it, and what's around it. Smoking is all about your creativity. You don't just have to stick to default smokes. You can do whatever you want. Like if you wanted to, you could smoke like here. Like in the hands of a good player, this would be a great smoke. Okay. Making attackers burn utility as a defender is really important because it makes their sight hits harder and your retakes easier. When you're trying to defend mid, you can throw this smoke, once again flush with the wall, because it doesn't matter if they don't smoke, because you can still play here and get a nice little angle over it. And you can just commit one person to holding the smoke, and this becomes essentially impossible to push without the use of utility on the attacker's behalf. Now, there isn't really a smoke that defenders use when they're rushing cat. You can just smoke here if you want, if you know that they've already taken this space. You have to be careful about main, right? But once again, there's also, a player's always going to be here. One of your defender teammates will always be playing here. There's always someone cat, right? Those were all the smokes that I personally use in Ascent. Remember that smokes aren't, smokes are subjective. You can be creative, right? Your smokes are not limited to the default positions. Now, if you stuck around this far, I want to say thank you so much. I will be making a Discord server for all the coaching, because as I've noticed in the past 2 days, I've been getting absolutely bombed with requests, which I think. I still haven't decided on 2 people. Remember to stay vigilant in your games, play unpredictably, don't follow the standards of how Valorant's normally played.